Hello Pisces, and welcome to your April 2021 tarot reading. My name is Candice Marie from Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry about the original stream. I saw some of you guys waiting. Unfortunately, my mic died, but we're back. In this reading, I will be covering the health, love, financial matters, and career matters for the month ahead, followed by a cross spread, which will be an in-depth look at your month ahead. These predictions may or may not resonate with you, but please listen to your sun, rising, and moon sign to get an idea of what April has in store for you. If you resonate with this reading, please like and comment. I appreciate your support. Subscribe to my channel to get the latest on my tarot and astrology videos. If you like my reading style, want to connect for more of an in-depth personal reading, whether that's astrology or tarot, head on over to my website where you can book a reading with me now at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can also check out all of my social media handles on the links below. If you want to connect on Instagram or Facebook, please do so. I've got a couple of decks out tonight, and we're going to use each one for a different purpose. So we're going to start off with looking at your health and your wellness, and what the cards have to say about your health this month. Pisces, there's some new intentions being set revolving around not just your finances, but also your dietary health and things that you eat and put in your mouth. So be mindful of that. That is definitely going to be a focus for the new moon this month. So for starters, we have the Sun card coming up reversed, followed by the Purity card or the Two of Wands, followed by the Queen of Cups reversed. Remember, when we have reversed cards, it doesn't mean something negative, just having to work a little harder to flip those up. So when the Sun card comes up reversed, I see this as perhaps maybe you dealing with matters that are difficult or challenging to shine a light on or to kind of figure out. The Sun card, when it comes up reversed, it does promise that there is a possibility or an opportunity to find joy. However, it requires you to really work through a matter that pertains to your happiness. Sun reverse can be lower vitality energies, not getting enough sun, not being able to focus enough on your joy or your creativity, and there being some kind of a block there. Now, the sun can also put a bit of emphasis on your cardiovascular system, anything that has to do with heart health, anything that has to do with blood pressure, or even your heart space in an emotional way. The Two of Wands coming up does promise that there is a possibility and an opportunity for you to get ahead of this situation and be able to take charge. There is a need with this particular card in this deck to purify, cleanse, detox, remove, let go of, release something. And with the Queen of Cups coming up, it can be talking about you personally, having some blocks, some heart blocks, some emotional blocks that you are finally starting to realize need to be cleared. And when the Queen of Cups comes up reversed, she may not be so aware of what's going on emotionally. This can also be not just you as a Pisces, but another woman that you're dealing with, somebody who may be stealing your thunder, taking your energy, making you feel blocked, not allowing you to move forward, not happy for you. Definitely not some energy that you want around you, especially because being the little empathic sponge that you are, you might be taking on some of this energy from another person. You might be feeling that their vibe is kind of hard to be around. Remember that Saturn is 12 signs away from you. So there is a need to really take space, have your alone time, and know when it's time to decompress and purge. Not a bad reading for your health overall. Let's move on to your love reading. So what's going on? Let's see what's going on for Pisces and their love life. If you are in a relationship and partnered or flying solo. Let's see what the cards have to say about matters of the heart this month, Pisces. Two of Swords, Seven of Cups, Three of Cups. The Two of Swords is upright. Once again, talking about decisions, having to choose between two, a difficult decision, a decision that can be painstaking in a way. Followed up with the Seven of Cups is confusion, not being able to see clearly. What does the path have ahead for you? Honestly, not crazy about this Three of Cups coming up reversed. You know, I'm a pretty positive person when it comes to readings, but whenever this comes up in a love reading, I get a little uneasy because it can be a situation where there's too many cooks in the kitchen, whether that's having too many options, too many choices, dating somebody who has too many options, too many choices, feeling a little uneasy about committing to somebody because they're not either opening their heart or there's maybe a possibility that they're taking up with another person. What I would say is don't jump to conclusions though, because certainly this Two of Swords with the Seven of Cups is jumping to conclusions, assuming worst case scenario. My advice to you is when it comes to relationships, there is a need for you to make a decision and move on from past issues of maybe stalling in relationships and not being the person to make the call and know when it's time to actually cut and run. And if you've been hurt in the past, or there have been situations where people have deceived you, or people did not turn out to be who you thought they were, especially in recent months, I'm talking about the last couple of months, then it's saying like, be careful before you go back to the past, be careful before you give that person another shot, really suss out the situation, both in terms of who you're dealing with and for yourself, because there may be other people that are kind of hanging out and hanging around that might be other options. Now, the Three of Cups, whenever that comes up, especially when it's reversed, is reminding you that you can't have your heart in so many different places. So if you are more open to moving on from past hurt, it's important for you to deal with that and really move through that before you open your heart to another person. All right, so let's see what the cards have in store for your money. So what does money and finances look like for Pisces this month? Oh, okay. Eight of Wands, Seven of Cups again, and the Queen of Wands. Once again, these are all reversed. Does not mean it's negative. It's just going to take a little bit more oomph to get these flipped over. What's interesting is the Seven of Wands has come up a couple times for you. So when I see that card, it makes me wonder, are you overwhelmed with too many possibilities? Are you overwhelmed with too many things going on in your life right now? Is it hard for you to ground out your energy? Are you feeling like there could be situations that you're unbeknownst manifesting as a result of your anxiety or fearful that they may come up? You might want to think about that. But with the Eight of Wands coming up, even though reversed, it is forward motion, but it's kind of chaotic and it's scattered and it doesn't seem like it's really well reined in. You know, part of what's happening right now is there's just a lot of action going on in your career zone. And I think that you can kind of feel like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And while that can work, what's going to be challenging in the next month is if you are actually putting too much spaghetti on the wall, or you have too many irons in the fire. You know, it's just be cautious with just trying anything or just trying to push anything or just trying to make anything happen or anything move, especially when this is a card that talks about energy and direction, and then the Seven of Cups is lack of that. And being cautious, not spending too much time or wasting too much time on things that may not actually manifest and come to full fruition, especially when it comes to your vision. So usually when you rein this in a little bit, and it looks like you can get this with the help of a woman. She may be a fire sign, so she could be a Leo, she could be a Sag, she could also be an Aries. If this is not a woman that's helping you, then this can be talking about you and feeling a little creatively blocked, or feeling like, you know, you don't understand. You've been focusing on your creativity or trying to get some projects out there or trying to make some headway, and you don't understand why you're not seeing the results that you're wanting to see. So to flip that queen upright, you know, and to turn her around, I think what it's focusing on is letting go of any resentment, anger, frustration of things not panning out. And it's really putting the emphasis on quality over quantity. I want you to think about that this month. And while you might be good at a bunch of different things and have a bunch of different things going, you are very creative, and you do have a very kind of spirited, really like a warmth that comes out for you this month when it comes to your creative passions, and a lot to share. And I really feel like you can flip this over and you can get the energy moving in a much more positive, productive way within about 8 days, 8 weeks. I'm leaning towards the 8 weeks. I think this is going to take some time, especially if you're waiting for money to come in, you're waiting to invest in something, you're waiting to see something pay off. It's saying really do your research and don't jump into stuff, especially financially when it comes to investments, because you might be buying a rumor. Be careful here. So let's take a look now at what is going on with your career. Feel like you're starting to see the bigger picture this month and getting a more broad idea of where like your career stuff is heading. So that's positive. Might be doing some kind of work with people at a distance. Nine of Swords, Judgment, and the Knight of Wands. Nine of Swords and Judgment makes me feel like you're perhaps waiting on some kind of a decision. You're waiting to hear back from somebody in terms of a career move. Maybe you're waiting for somebody to choose you, select you, give you the green light. And the Nine of Swords reversed is reminding you that there's really nothing you can do. The wheels are already in motion. This has been started, and there is a need for you to mentally detangle all of these fears revolving around whether or not you're going to be successful. Not allowing this to interfere with your health or your mental health or even your sleep patterns. And the Judgment card coming up can also indicate, reverse, that you're having to revisit a decision or being mindful of decisions that you're making in terms of your career, because these are big ones. And while they might be keeping you up at night, I think that it can also be for a sense of excitement and knowing that things are getting ready to change and things are getting ready to shift. Judgment does talk about certain decisions or people or situations coming back to you, not just to give you a decision, but to reevaluate whether or not you want to go back. And I see this as a test, almost like, you know, that test that the universe gives you right before you break through and you have that big, accomplishment at work, or you end up getting the job that you want, or you end up getting the position that you want, or you end up just Jerry Maguiring your way out of there and saying, that's it, I'm doing it myself. So you're on the precipice of making this decision. There's a lot of anxiety behind it, but there's also a lot of forward momentum and a lot of excitement and a lot of creativity. And I feel like with the Knight of Wands is it could be a younger person who comes to help you, or a fire sign that comes to help you, a message that comes in about a creative endeavor, the possibility to travel, connect with people in different places, and really get some support when it comes to launching your career moves, especially if you're an artist, if you're a performer. You might get good news that, you know, you're going to be able to start touring again, or you're going to be able to start seeing the world again. And yeah, I think it's really positive. There's just a need to really detach from worst case scenario here. Be optimistic, Pisces. Be optimistic. Receive that call and that letter or that message. Definitely take them up on whatever that offer is. So this is the part of the reading where I get into the cross spread. Perhaps maybe I've touched on some things that you were already having questions about. Maybe there are some other things that you need some more insight on. I want to give that insight. So I'm going to give you a moment just to focus on your breathing. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath through your mouth and out your nose. And we're going to see what the cards have to say about April for the month ahead. Okay, so let's go ahead and start at the beginning, and we'll get to the card that is the starter card, and that is the Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups can be about disappointment. It can be about like I say, crying over spilled milk. The card that really kind of puts emphasis on whatever's going on emotionally and whatever didn't come together for you in the more recent past, not losing sight of the opportunities that stand before you, especially in regards to partnership. And sometimes things fall together so better things can fall, you know, sometimes some things fall apart so better things can fall together. Excuse me, tongue-tied. But especially that being crossed with the Empress is it's really putting a focus on your self-love, your abundance, your self-expression. You know, Venus is a big connection to the Empress card. It can also be disappointments that make you really focus on the need to bring your attention back to yourself, especially if you've been putting yourself on hold or your health on hold or your work on hold, and no longer letting those previous disappointments actually hold you back from abundance, right? And so the Empress is a great card because it does talk about nurturing. So sometimes this can come up when a project doesn't come to full fruition, or you know, a business idea doesn't come to full fruition, or sometimes even a pregnancy doesn't come to full fruition. So it's about not allowing that to be something that holds you back, the need to focus on the self and the self-healing, especially for the immediate next 3 weeks. So here we have what crowns you, and for that, that is the Devil card. It comes up upright, so some kind of limitation, some restriction, some habit, some career obligations or responsibility that's really weighing heavy on you. And it can feel like something that's really hard to break out of, but also when it's crowning you, it doesn't always have to be an oppressive force. It can be something that you're committing to, and just being more so aware that maybe this heaviness, this emotional heaviness, this depression, whatever's been happening that's been weighing you down, you're acknowledging it and you know that it's there. For what lies beneath you is the Two of Swords reversed. So indecisiveness, not knowing which end is up, not knowing what to choose, getting the pressure, I think, of the Devil to make a quick snap decision. And it's reminding you that snap decisions from a financial standpoint, from a romantic standpoint, from a professional standpoint, have not gone well. When you scramble to respond to Saturn or to the Devil's pressure, it's almost like there's been some decisions that have been made in the past that didn't necessarily pan out well, and you were tempted, whether this was sexually or in terms of addiction or bad behavior or just falling back into old patterns where we do what's comfortable, but we don't necessarily do what's best for us in the long term. Granted, this is behind you. This is in front of you. So before you, you have the Five of Swords reversed, and that's moving out of conflict, not seeking conflict, not looking to throw barbs with other people, and really diffusing situations and moving away from either confrontational conversations or just, you know, mental mind games is something that you're just really giving up. And not trying to figure other people else out too, because I kind of see this as like other people's bad habits and you making the decision that it doesn't really work for you to kind of keep these people or these situations around any longer. So here is you, the Nine of Pentacles, taking time to yourself, hiding out, spoiling yourself, treating yourself well, focusing on health, abundance, wealth, and sometimes having to be your own best friend. Part of this can be Saturn's influence on you right now and just starting to kind of feel that there are certain things that are naturally coming to an end and retreating, but retreating in order to focus on health, retreating in order to focus on abundance, retreating in order to focus on stability and long-term goals for you that make you feel abundant. So the next card that comes up is the Influence. This is the Chariot. So to me, it seems like there is a huge emphasis on where you're going, not where you're coming from, not approaching where you're coming from, only looking forward. We're not looking in the rearview mirror. This may be that there is some news of travel, some news of dealing with a foreigner, some news regarding a vehicle. Pay attention to this. This can be especially important when Mars moves into Cancer, and we start to see that there's just a lot more Cancerian vibes that are working with you and helping pave the way to where you are going. Your hopes and fears is the Magician reverse. So whether or not you are going to get manipulated, whether or not somebody is going to pull a fast one on you, whether or not this is something you can trust or believe in, whether or not you're going to manifest your goals. I actually think this deals more so with a person and whether or not maybe you can trust, if you can move on from a person, whether or not you can trust that a person has changed, whether or not you can trust working with them, and if they are actually going to be a stable, positive influence, or if there's going to be some weird sexual tension, or if you can go back to working with somebody, if there was a romantic connection, if you can move on from a romantic connection. It's less about whether or not you're moving on from bad habits. It's more about whether or not you can trust yourself and if other people deserve a second chance. Interesting. The Magician reverse, I kind of see that sometimes as, you know, the slimy used car salesman, right? Or the ex-boyfriend that just says, just let's go out to dinner. We'll just have dinner. Nothing has to happen. Be careful with that, especially because the King of Wands is the final card. So that can be a dominating, fierce, sexy, charismatic fire sign. Somebody who could be an Aries or a Leo or perhaps even a Sagittarius who is just very forward with their creative intentions or very forward with their passion when it comes to you. I could also see this as you being able to get ahead of some of these situations, stepping into your personal power, stepping into your creativity, and really wielding that wand as a sense of manifesting your reality. Pisces, I hope that this was helpful. I love getting a chance to read on YouTube for you guys. I'm sending you lots of positive vibes for some of these transitions you will be experiencing in the month ahead. If this reading resonated with you, if it was helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I will see all of you guys for your tarot videos next month. You take care. Have a good one.